What's up YouTube? This is Fanbase. How we doing, everybody? This is your second video of the night, and in this video we are going to be discussing UtaPri and where do we see it heading in 2018, and maybe we'll project a little bit into 2019 and we'll adjust accordingly when we get to January 1st of next year. Well, this year is going to already be a crazy enough year for UtaPri. We just know that. Okay? Forget everything else. This is just going to be, as far as the first 6 months, 5 or 6 months, it's going to be nuts. Because you've got the Shining Masterpieces, which actually the first one comes out this month, which is Lost Alice, which is going to be nuts, and I'm actually looking forward to it. Then, of course, we have the Trios one, the Three Musketeers one, basically, and then the one for Little Red Riding Hood, which is called, I believe, Forest of Le Croix. Somebody will correct me. Please do. I always say that because I want to be corrected sometimes. Just don't be an ignorant idiot. Anyway, that's why it was called Little Red Riding Hood, by the way. Anyway, you got those 3 things. Then you've got the 3 movie singles which come out this year. I don't know why they come out. By the way, I'm going to say this again because it blows my friggin' mind. Why are they coming out this year? The movie's not till next year. I know I said this in the last video that I made on this, but if they're not coming out, if the movie doesn't come out till next year, which I'll talk about that actually in a second, then put the singles out next year. Because that's arguably when it's going to be the most hype. Anyway, I know. I promised myself ahead of time when I do these retakes, because this is like my 5th take on it. I'm not going to rant, but sometimes you can't help it. Anyway, so we have those things sorted out. Fine, okay. And we have the stage play, which I'm telling you this now. God help me, it's going to happen. I'm going to get Masquerade Mirage, I'm going to get the Joker Trap one, and I'm going to watch them, I'm going to review them, and we're all going to have a merry day. Because my God, anybody that knows me as far as the Shining Theaters go, those were my 2 favorites. Bar none. I need to see if they were done justice. Personal opinion. So, we have all this coming up. All this great stuff. But how about the unknown? Well, we need to talk games because this is a bit of a sticking point. Because whether or not you realize that we have about 1, 2, 3, 4. We have about 5 games outstanding. Okay? Now, 2 of them will be spoken for in a combo, so we're really down to 3, but just bear with me on this. The games are Duet All-Star, All-Star After Secret, Dulce Vita, Shining Live, the English version, and of course the Chinese and Korean versions. Okay. What is going to happen as far as game release schedule? Because that's what we're doing is we're going to try and project, not knowing what their schedule is. Okay? Berkeley has made it perfectly clear that they're going to release all the PSP games, at least the visual novels, in sequential order. They started with Repeat Love. They've already done Amazing Art and Sweet Serenade. Now they have to work on Debut. Then, of course, they have to do the All-Star and All-Star After Secret games. Those 3 games, by the way, are the 3 most important games in many respects, because this is the time when the Quartet Knight was made, recurring characters in the UtaPri universe. Remember? Okay. So in this section, what I'm thinking is going to happen is this. at some point in the second half of the year, they're going to at least announce Dave U's port. Okay? It will be one of the 8 announcements. There's a reason I said 8, by the way. It was one of the 8 announcements they will make. I am going to tell you that I think they're going to make 2 game announcements. One will be for debut, the debut port. The other will be the story, the official story for Dulce Vita. Because it kind of gave you a glimpse of it, but maybe they'll actually give you more and show you like the actual mechanics of the game, so people know what they're getting themselves into. If it's anything like what I saw from the Corridoro, it could be pretty interesting, I think. But anyway, so I'm thinking those 2, at the very least, those 2 things will happen. I do not think, however, and this is the important thing, so you listen to me carefully, I do not think Dulce Vita is coming out this year. I think that's next year. I think when that comes out, it's going to be around the time of the movie. When do I think the movie's coming out, though? I'm thinking it's going to be around the second half of the year. Here's my reasoning, before anybody gets on me. They're still going to have All-Star and All-Star After Secret to put out. Unless both of those come out in 2018. 2019 is going to have 2 game releases. The one PSP game, and then the one PSP port, and then the one that's a PS Vita exclusive. And I think that's going to happen. But I also think that they're going to announce those 2, and they may announce Shining Live. They may have made enough progress that they say, we're ready to release Shining Live. Now when I say made enough progress, let me clarify. They may have completely translated the cards, the dialogue, and the event segments. And we'll count like the Shining Radio, the Smile Radio parts, and we'll count the intro cutscenes that you get at the beginning of the game when you load it for the first time. There may be some issues. I will say this right now. There may be some issues bug-wise because they may not have tested everything, so you may have some game crashes at the beginning. Of course, that may also partially be because everybody's trying to play the game at one time and, they blow up the servers. But I do think, at the very least, we're going to get more info on Dulce Vita, and we're going to at least get the debut port announced. Shining Live could be this year. It could be next year. Remember, they gave no warning when they were going to announce Shining Live last time, and they just dropped on everybody about 3 days before Ichi's birthday. That was kind of a smooth move. I do think also one thing, and I'm not trying to give false hope to anybody, but if you're a Heavens fan, listen to me very carefully, because I think this is very important. I think in honor of Dulce Vita, before Dulce Vita's release, there will be an event that has Heavens, or at least the Heavens songs in the game, and they will at least have Heaven's Gate. Both versions of Heaven's Gate. Minimum. They may or may not have Heavenly Parade any Mortal Inferno. And they may or may not also have the duets and the solos. I do think, though, Heavens is going to be included by August. If they're not, then I was wrong. But I've got this feeling they were waiting, and they're going to do it sooner than we think. My original belief was they were going to do it by the movie. I'm thinking now it's going to be a little bit earlier than that. It could be by year's end. So, I'm not trying to give false hope, but I'm just saying I've got this gut feeling it's going to happen. Because it's been a year, you've almost got the entire catalog of Starship Kryptonite songs out in some way, shape, or form, be it event or otherwise. I think it's time that they dip their toe in the water and see, can we get a Heaven song and see what people think? Now, if I have not discussed this yet, I do think we are going to be getting more info on the movie. One of two things is going to happen as far as that goes. If not both. Both would be great, but I'm at least holding out hope for one. We're either going to get an official release date, so in other words, we're going to get not just the year, we're at least going to get the month. So will it be, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, I don't think, and I'm going to say this now, I don't think it's going to be during the 9th anniversary. That would be suicide, because most everybody's probably going to be sitting at their computers, and if they blow up the box office that day, nobody's going to be able to go. You know what I'm saying? So let's think about this for a minute. Do I really think that it's going to be, that day? No. But I do think they're going to announce, at the very least, the story details, and then maybe next year when they do the 7th stage, because I think 7th stage is going to be in 2019. 7th stage will happen before the movie. Okay? But they will announce the details, the official details of the movie as far as the story goes at the 8th anniversary. So 8th anniversary will be the story. 2019 will be the release date. Were we together on that one? Okay. I think also that there will be another Heaven single not related to the movie. That's the key. Not related to the movie. Now, when do I think that's coming out? I'm not going to say it's coming out this year, because it would be too close to when they had this last one. Do you get what I'm saying? If they announce a new single for Heavens, it more than likely will be a single that comes out early next year. And it may or may not be a precursor to something else. I think Barclay's got something else in their back pocket for Heavens. But that won't happen till after the movie. So we're getting ahead of ourselves. But I do think they have something in their back pocket for Heavens as far as more merchandise. And one of those things, I think, is their own game officially. I think it's going to happen. Broccoli eventually has to bite the bullet because they have been starting to separate, in some respects, Heavens from Starship and Quartet Night. Now, granted, while yes, they placed 5th on the Oricon charts with Heaven's Sky, and they couldn't maintain it, they still placed 5th. That ain't too bad for the first drama CD. And I do think they have another solo CD coming, that's not a drama CD, coming out. And I think that's going to be for their next project, which will be their first solo endeavor, game-wise or other. I do think it's other. I do think they're going to have there's going to be a Heaven spin-off, but that's like at least 2 years after the movie. Not till 2021, the 10th year anniversary of the anime. We're not touching that yet. We're touching this year, we're touching a little bit next year. You with me? So, what we're looking at right now is we're looking at least one game release this year. Debut. That's happening. We already know the CDs. We already know the stage play. We already know they're happening. We're at least getting, I'm going to guess, Debut coming out. Dulce Vita will more likely be next year with All Star After Secret. Shining Lives English version, I'm going to wager, will be around 8th anniversary. It could be a little before, it could be on, it could be after, but I think it's going to happen this year. I really do. I don't know what the time span between Love Live's English translation and when it came out in Japan was, but I've got this really, really weird feeling that we're actually going to get the English translation this year. The Heavens part of it, if it happens, won't officially be translated till next year when the movie comes out. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm not saying put it in the bank. I'm just saying I think that's what's going to happen. Like they may have a Heavens thing worked up in their head, but they don't want to do anything with them yet until the movie. Till around the movie. And they'll do it first in Japan, and then maybe sometime after the movie's over, they'll really start to work on the translations and bring them over here. Oh, and if someone asks me if I think, if there's a Heavens thing, if I think we're going to get one or both versions of Heaven's Gate, I think both. Because everybody that has heard Heaven's Gate has heard, at some point, you heard the original trio version and you heard the version with 7. I think we're getting them both at some point. Don't hold me to that, but I think we are. Because I think Heavens is coming in officially. Again, I don't work for Broccoli, I don't work for King Records, I don't work for NIS, Nipponichi Software. I know nothing. Everything I'm saying from this point is speculation. But I do think it's going to happen. Now, okay, I'm going to bring this up one more time. So, if you ask me when I think the movie's going to come out here, 2021. I give you that date, and that's conservative. I could have said 2022. The reason I think 2021, well, Season 4 has yet to be distributed on DVD or Blu-ray here. So, there's that. Plus, getting the rights to even air it either on Crunchyroll, which I do think is going to happen. I think it's going to be able to be aired on Crunchyroll. Now, do I think it's going to be aired? It's going to be available for everybody right away? No. What I think is going to have to happen is, if people want to watch it, they're going to have to make. Some people may have to use alternative means. Some people may be watching it on Crunchyroll. One or the other. But I do think it's going to happen eventually. But I think there may be a waiting period. That may be at least 2020 when we finally get it. Unless Crunchyroll land inks some deal to simulcast it right away. Which could happen. But we'll have to wait and see, because I don't know what their plans are as far as that goes. And I don't... My guess is, if people ask me, and I'll project it. The movie's 2019. That's a given. If there's a fifth season, and I am 99.5% confident there is, that will be 2021, the 10th anniversary of the anime. I also think, however, if they do that fifth season, it's going to be as if they did La Corredora Blue Sky. For those who have not seen that, basically what they did was they took the story and they completely redid the cast. I don't think they're going to completely redo the cast. I think what they'll do is they will do at least a one-off Heaven season. The reason I say it's going to be one-off, because I want to think I think they really want to test the waters with Heavens. And keep this in mind, this is 2018. Minorin, or Hikaru Midorikawa, who, for Sailor Moon fans, played Ale in Sailor Moon R. He also played a character in the Sailor Moon R movie. He's 50 this year. He'll be 52 in 2020. And he'll be 53 in 2021. You see what I'm saying? I mean, we should be grateful we have Wakamoto around. He's been around for 70 plus years. You know? But I think that we're going to get at least one season with Heavens, and what I think is going to happen is Heavens is going to get the season solo, but if you're not Star Wars fans, I think this is going to happen. They're going to pull a Blue Sky, and they're actually going to find a way to sprinkle in the Star Wars characters, at least. Now, what do I think is going to happen with Quartet Night? They may or may not be involved in that season in some way. If they are, that means there's probably going to be more than one season with Heavens. If they're not, it may or may not be a one-off to test the waters with them. But that's really projecting out. That's like 2 to 3 years at this point. Do I think that, like I said, do I think this UtaPri is over after the movie? No. No. Here would be the only way I think they end UtaPri after the movie, if someone asks me. If they felt that Star Wars was done, and the way they felt to send them off was to either A, because we don't know, again, I don't know the story, you don't know the story, so let's assume this is another contest. They could do one of two things. They could either have Star Wars beat QN and Heavens again, or they could have Heavens beat Star Wars for the first and only time. Now, that may or may not have been blown up. That theory may or may not be blown up because of the idea of what Ren said when they mentioned, and Ren and Masa mentioned when they mentioned the concert, but we don't know. Because realistically, nobody knew what the story for the fourth season was, really. Until we got it, and then World War III nearly broke out. But this is going to be interesting, man. Like, really interesting. Because like I said, we know we have 8th anniversary is going to be the interesting one. And with Aomatsu, with what he said about how UtaPri is to last forever because that was the original author's wish. I'm trying to understand the translation, but okay. It could be an interesting time because I said around season 4, before season 4 started, we could be in a very interesting transition period. I'm now more confident than ever we're in some kind of very interesting transition period, and we're not nearing the end of UtaPri. We're just getting warmed up. And I became confident of that when I read the translations for, I believe it was the 5th anniversary book, Who Bitch Face Tokia translated. Like, at first it seemed like everybody was saying their goodbyes, and then you read more and more of them, and it's like, oh my god, we're still going. And then you read Agamatsu's tweet, it's like, yeah, we're gonna go for this long. Okay. And we're buckling in. But here's the question from this point on now. What actually is going to happen? I gave you my predictions, but now the only thing left to do is go day by day, month by month, and see where this wondrous world of UtaPri, as we'll call it, takes us. In 6 days, it will be my 4-year anniversary in this wonderful and crazy, sometimes too much angst-filled fandom, but it'll be a pleasure for me, 4 years running, to see where we go. And now, as almost the UtaPri reporter or detective, to see, oh, my hunch is right. I have some bad news for people. I have a pretty good track record when it comes to these things. So I suggest we pay attention, because things could be getting very interesting between now and the 10-year anniversary of the game. You all take care of yourself. This video, goddamn, went 30 minutes again. You all take care of yourself. I hope you all have a happy and safe New Year's Day. I will see you in the next video. And by the next time we meet, as far as the UtaPri stuff goes, I may or may not have more info for you. So stay tuned. Things are about to get interesting around here. Take care, my friends. Have a good one. Bye-bye.